Hey everyone, before we start part 5, the final part of our Heat coverage, I just want to remind everyone, or not remind, or tell you, I want to inform you that the end of the episode is the 4 hosts that were not there for part 4, i.e. the famous street shootout sequence. So we have Craig, Doug, Sully, and of course Scott. They share their thoughts on that scene. So stick around right after the episode ends for that montage of their thoughts. They're about 2 minutes each of each one of these hosts expressing their thoughts on that street sequence. So again, the order will be Craig, Doug, Sully, then Scott, and then the episode's over and the movie's over. And stick around for the next episode, which will be The Insider with myself and Craig. Enjoy part 5 with my co-host, Scott. Good day and welcome to part 5, the final part of the Heat coverage on this season of the Michael Mann films on the Director's Chair Network. I am your host, Ryan, and I have with me returning guest co-host, not of the Michael Mann season thus far, but Mr. Scott, you joined me for Edswick. Remind me, we did
The Siege and we did Defiance.
That's right. Yeah, two great films. Yes. So we watched Defiance. I think both of us watched Defiance for the first time together.
Yes, for the first time.
Yeah. And you were great, of course, and Edswick was a blast to discuss. And this season, of course, we're discussing Michael Mann. And many, not everyone, but many consider Heat to be his opus magnus. Is that the word? Did I get that right?
Magnum opus, PS.
That one. That one. Whatever that Latin phrase is.
This might be my masterpiece, to quote Tarantino.
Yeah. This is his big one. It's certainly his most, I think, commercially successful one. Though actually, he had some other big ones. With, of course, Collateral. Tom Cruise is a big one. But this is a big film, both in the lexicon of films and shootouts and heists and acting and all that stuff. It's one that everyone seems, Michael Mann does that film. So we're going to wrap up our final thoughts on this film. And you specifically requested to be on part 5. I asked Scott, I said, Scott, have you been listening to the other parts yet? And he goes, no, I want to kind of come in cold and I don't want to be. Yeah, and I get that.
It's not a slick because I love the show. So I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be on, I have a bit of a different take above the ending. And I didn't want to be influenced by anyone else's. And then I thought, once I do mine, I'll listen to you when you put the whole thing, all 5 are out, and I'll listen to them in succession so I could enjoy everyone's take on them.
Yeah, everyone's had a great, unique, and different take, and it's actually going to be quite fun to hear it all together when people do hear it all together. You did, though, ask to come on last for this film because you might have a take that's not as favorable as maybe other takes have been. Now, because you haven't listened to it, I just want to let you know they've been fair throughout. Like, I'm a pretty fair person, so I will offer critiques I've offered mine throughout the parts, but I did tell the listeners that I have a co-host coming on that's going to shite all over this film.
It's not taking a shit on the film. It's just taking a shit on the ending and
the ending in particular.
The way he ends the film. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So we'll get to that. Okay, fair enough. Okay, maybe I over.
Well, yes, that's okay. They're going to hate me. The pitchforks and torches are out. Are you also covering LA Takedown, which this is the remake of?
Well, Craig and I talked about it in the first episode because he had seen it and I haven't seen it. So I just asked him straight out, and I trust Craig as I've worked with him for so long. I was like, is it worth watching? He goes, nah. He actually said it's not really, it's like an overextended, it was a TV pilot. Like it's an hour and a half TV show. And he said it's not really worth, it's an interesting piece of history, the idea that it's that. He took the ideas from that failed TV pilot and made it into a feature-length film. If Craig says it's not even that great to watch, I don't think I would. No. So have you seen it?
What I have seen is you can go on YouTube and find them, and they've been on Instagram Reels and all the other places.
Right.
But someone has put together there's the scene that you've already covered with Pacino, De Niro, like the scene when we were young enough to remember when that was brought up. That was like the thing because De Niro and Pacino hadn't been on screen together before. And the two big heavyweights, especially in crime, not actually sharing the screen together. Yeah, they've been in Godfather 2 together, but they were never on screen together.
Right.
And so that was like the big, everyone was like, couldn't wait for this, right? And that was going to be their big moment, which it is an amazing moment. They show a side-by-side of two guys doing the same scene from LA Takedown, and then De Niro and Pacino, and saying the difference in acting. So same material, but when you have two actors, and even Michael Mann as a more seasoned,
sure, of course.
So it's 6 years later, more seasoned director. Well, he was kind of seasoned at that point, but getting the right guys to deliver the words. I think they use it sometimes for acting classes to show the difference between, hey, here's two guys who, they were actors and did the best they could. But when you have, this is the difference between, hey, I'm an actor, and hey, these are actors kind of thing. And it's a great comparison to see how the same lines are delivered and how much more powerful De Niro and Pacino deliver them compared to the two gentlemen who did it in 1989. So
I have not seen that. I got to check that out. And yeah, it's not a slight on those two poor TV actors, but the reality is it's just like anything, sports, movies, people in the job force. Some people are just better at the job. And
it's just it would be bad for them if they saw them like, these guys suck who delivered. We did it way better. When they look at them, it's like, oh yeah, it's Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant doing it. It's like, yep, okay, we're good. They did it.
A lot of people play basketball and a lot of people claim to be actors and actresses, but at the end of the day, there's only so many De Niros and Pacinos. And there's a reason why they're cast as, DiCaprio and all these, there's a reason why they're cast in these big productions that have a lot of money behind it, because you're putting all this money and effort. You don't want to get somebody who just ham and eggs it, right? You want to get okay. Actually, I'm going to check that out. Thanks for bringing that up. I did not know that side by side existed. Okay, so what's your overall fandom of Michael Mann as a director? His films? Have you seen all of his films? The majority of them? Are you familiar with them?
I have seen quite a lot of them. Obviously, I think, which is what you've been doing with this new series that you do. I think this movie introduced people who did not know who Michael Mann was to who Michael Mann was. A fandom started after Heat and continued on to his later films, and then people went back and saw Thief and slipping my mind, but he did the original
Manhunter.
Manhunter. Like, people went back and found those movies and realized, oh, okay, he's been doing this a lot longer. So I got into Michael Mann because of this film, and then became a huge fan, and then went back and saw his other movies, pre-Heat, that, pre-Heat. There's it's fun to use these words, right? Pre-Heat Michael Mann's career. And then supposedly, I think he's 89 now?
Oh, he's not that old. I think he's 70 something.
Or 70. All right. Well, he's about to, apparently his next film that he's putting together is Heat 2. That's supposed to be his last.
Well, I heard rumors about that.
Oh, has that also been kiboshed as well?
Well, no, I don't think it's been kiboshed. I think it's just been, it hasn't been officially not happening.
Okay.
Sounds weird.
Okay. Because I know he had said that it was his next one, but I think Val Kilmer's death, although Val Kilmer, even
you just have to recast. You have to recast. Yeah. It's a recast. And that's okay. That's happened before where so much time has passed. And this is where you have that you, Scott, but listeners, this is what I always tell people, they're characters. We're not casting Robert De Niro or Val Kilmer's character. We're casting
dead as well, unless they do, because they're supposed to jump forward. So it's supposed to be from that book. They do
it's a prequel and
pre and sequel. Yeah.
Interesting. So you'd have to recast anyways, younger actors to play. Even if they did a sequel right away with the prequel storyline, you'd have to cast younger actors. Well, what they did in The Godfather, speaking of The Godfather, they cast a younger Marlon Brando was De Niro. Am I wrong about that?
De Niro plays the very young Brando, so you could see how Michael Corleone's father, Mr. Corleone, Don Corleone, where he came from, how he made it from Sicily.
And nobody batted an eye.
How he made it forward. No. Well, because it's De Niro.
Well, what I mean by that too, yes, this is an incredible actor, but what I mean by that is it's a character. Like De Niro's playing a character, Marlon Brando's playing the same character played by two different actors. And I don't know why people get really weird about that when you recast. Because are you a fan of the character or the actor? Now, it's great when you enjoy the actor. You get what I'm saying? Like, Batman to me isn't just Michael Keaton. He can be your favorite. I get that. But I actually enjoy the Batman character. I would be lying if I said, oh, I hope they never do another Batman film because I only like Michael Keaton. Well, no, I actually really like the comic character. So it's a character to me. I'm a comic nerd. So comic characters.
I feel about Superman.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Henry Cavill's my favorite Superman.
But keep going.
I go see all the men's, however you want to pluralize that, all the Superman movies because it's one of my favorite comic book characters. So I enjoy seeing how they're going to represent it. How
Absolutely.
So I'm not one of those people.
The Joker,
like Guns doing, or what's his name? Guns doing it. Oh, that's going to suck. No, I'm actually. I'm going to go check this out. See what his take on the character is.
Because you're supporting the character. I love Superman too, and I'm going to see the Superman film. I don't think I'm going to see it in the theater, but I'm looking forward to seeing it because I just enjoyed the character. So I say the same with James Bond. We go on and on. Yeah. So, anyways, regarding the Heat characters, my long way of saying the Heat characters keep going with the characters, but you're just going to have different actors. It's just the reality of timeline of our life. Okay, all right. So hopefully he does that. But Michael Mann, I'm just getting his age. Sorry, I think he's 70 something. I got it right. Oh, you're right. He's older than I thought. He's 82.
82.
So great. So you're a fan of Michael Mann. You're not here to shite on the
No.
I'm just bugging.
I just have an issue over the years has grown with the ending of this film and another film that you'll talk about, and I won't spoil, but another one of this film's down the road. And it actually was that film that started me rethinking the end of this film and how I.
Okay.
And you know what? Also going to film school and then learning how the sausage is made. It's not just me going, this is stupid.
No,
I don't believe. You know, it's not some like fanboy, you know, becoming a keyboard commando, being like, this is dumb. How I would have done it. You know, it's not that.
No, you're allowed to have have your thoughts. That's your right as a fan. I mean, I cover movies all the time, and it's okay to say, you know what, I would have done something different. Doesn't mean it's the right thing. It's just that's your thing. You know, that's what you want. Yeah. Well, I'll say this about the Heat, this is the wrap-up episode, and we're going to show some scenes from the film that we covered for the last part, of course. It isn't a perfect film, and I don't think Michael Mann is a perfect director. What I like about him, this is what it's been fascinating to watch Edward Zwick films, all of his filmography, then diving into a completely different director, but one I still enjoy. The more I'm watching Michael Mann films, and now this is his fourth one. It must be a fifth. So I keep saying four. So he did Thief at this time, The Keep, Manhunter, Last Mohicans, and Heat. And even with Last Mohicans, which is, I don't want to spoil it because I'm going to do an end of the series listing ranking, but I don't think it's going to be much of a surprise. Last Mohicans is my favorite film of his. But even rewatching that film for this podcast, it occurred to me that Michael Mann, he is all about the shot. He has great shots. He has great cinematic shots. And the end sequence of Last Mohicans, that whole kill sequence of the father and son, I mean, it's one of the best film sequences in film history. But he has an odd editing style. And he has a very, I would say jigsawish, or I find his dialogue segues from scene to scene very jarring. It's hard to explain. I feel like we're always switching. Like even this film hits a very good point of this. We're like, we're doing this. I don't know. His segue editing is kind of jarring. And I don't know how much of a storyteller he is. And I know this is going to sound like, well, what do you mean? Do you not like? I do like it. I think he's aesthetically so fun to watch. And I just wonder what Edward Zwick would have done with this film. That's a curious thought, because I found with the Edward Zwick stories, they flow very smoothly with the characters, and every character is so knowable. And I find with this Heat, I watched it in 5 parts. Like you haven't heard this yet, but I said this to Katie, I think in part 4, where I'm actually watching this film in piecemeal for every episode. I'm only watching 34 minutes at a time, like you would with a miniseries. And it kind of works like that. So that's what I'm getting at. I feel like his movies are made for TV, like viewing. Like, okay, we just, you know what I mean? Like, hey, we just watched 34 minutes of film, and that's episode 1. Stay tuned. And I went into the film like no problem going back into it, because the transitions are so jarring sometimes that you can actually put the movie down and go back to it, and you didn't feel like you lost the flow.
He is a unicorn in this time frame of 95. It is the Renaissance, the beginning of the independent era. I think Heat feels like an independent crime movie until we get to the end. Well, I'll explain.
Sure.
He is a traditional director, Michael Mann, that is, because he starts in the 80s. So he is the tail end of the Hollywood brats, the new guys, the Spielbergs, the Coppola, the Lucas, the De Palmas, those guys who reinvigorate and change what Hollywood is in the 70s. He is kind of cut from the cloth of being also TV, because he does do some TV stuff. He wrote for TV. Yeah, he directs for TV. Many people. Yeah, he did Miami Vice. He is playing in a brand new sandbox with older tools, but also still using the newer tools. So he still has a very standard way of making a movie. But I think you made a great point. I don't think enough people give him credit. Like Denis Villeneuve will get credit for his directing, but also the shots they put together. It's beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Mann does the exact, especially, I mean, like I said, Last Mohicans, his crime films, then he does, because he was shooting on these new Sony HDs when the HD cameras first came out. So even though it's digital, it felt like it was breathing, the film that he was filming on. And so when he does Miami Vice, Miami looks amazing under his lights. When he does Collateral, LA looks amazing under his lights. LA looks amazing.
He's all about the shot.
It's beautiful. But I don't think enough people realize that about Michael Mann. I don't think enough people give him credit for how beautiful his actual movies look.
They look great. They're so fun to look at. Like, you don't want to look at your phone, which you never should do.
No.
You don't want to look down. You want to see the shot. And we're going to get into the ending, but just before I forget, in case I forget. But them running through the airport, all that stuff. Okay, maybe I'm spoiling. I don't want to spoil your thoughts, so let me just say this.
Go ahead.
But what I'm getting at is the story is silly, but it looks great. Because you got planes flying overhead.
We'll get into it.
That's what I mean about Michael Mann. It looks great, but it makes no sense. Sometimes it's nonsensical, cool-looking sequences. There you go. Yeah.
Even close-ups, no matter where they are, he makes every set look gorgeous. He could make the worst ghetto look beautiful. I can't explain it. It's just the way it's lit, the way he films. He just brings this quality that it feels like film. I know that sounds stupid, but now that we shoot a lot in digital, you can almost feel the screen breathing. You can actually feel like you're almost there. It's just something beautiful about the way he films. So he's a great visual director for sure.
And a great example of that is right at the beginning of our last 30 minutes of film is, of course, Ashley Judd. Her character is about to go out to the patio. It's a classic moment in the film where she's going to tell her husband, played by Val, cops are here. The heat is here. The heat is here. And she does a great job of feeling heartbroken and sad that she's saying goodbye to her husband, but to save him. And I suspect in the Heat 2 novel sequel, we see the further adventures of him trying to probably get back to her. That's probably what we see.
Now, when you first saw this, did you think she was going to give him the signal to go away, or were you not sure? Because they'd had a really tumultuous relationship. And I wasn't 100% sure if she was going to blow him in or not.
I don't remember my first thoughts. I don't remember. She did get that great talking to by the cop, played by Bubba Gump.
And he's trying to save her son, Dominic. Because otherwise, he's going to be taken from her. She doesn't help them out.
Yeah, but they can't take the kid away. If he doesn't show up, it's not her fault.
True, but if she doesn't help, like if he does show up, if she doesn't help him, they're going to take the kid.
So I do love how Val's character does drive up in the most...
This is a Miami Vice feel to it, right? This is Michael Mann leaning into his Miami Vice days of... And look at that long shot. What a beautiful shot of him sitting there. And that's everyone in the background waiting. That's a gorgeous shot right there. That really is. Those of you who aren't watching it on the YouTube version, you should just check out just for some of the shots. The Al Pacino, what a beautiful shot.
The classic scene here. I keep saying classic. I gotta stop saying that.
I mean, it is a classic film at this point. There was a whole movie made by Ben Affleck called The Town that literally is a love letter to Heat itself. And then also has Heat in it, which is a fun little moment. The movie Heat is actually being played by a character in the scene.
Ben Affleck will be featured on our Director's Chair Network because we're doing actors who directed films seasons as well.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so actors who aren't quote unquote known to be directors, but have dabbled and or done, people like Ben Affleck, for example. Did you know that Dan Aykroyd directed a film, for example?
I did not know that.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to do kind of a repeating.
Do some George Clooney's?
Exactly. That's right. Should they stay director or actor or both? Yeah. Okay. So this is the scene that we're talking about is Al Pacino's on the phone with the cops at Judd's apartment waiting for Kilmer to show up or not. But you're right. It should just be him on the phone. It's a nothing moment, but Michael Mann makes something of every shot. And it's so great to look at him right in front of the camera and the cops behind him sort of blurred out. It's a beautiful shot of a moment where it's just a guy on the phone waiting for an answer. That's all this is, but it looks great.
It's a tense moment that he's playing up to us because we've already had moments where she's cheating on him. Things are not going well. And we're not 100% sure when you first see the movie if she's going to give him up or not. And he's cut his hair.
Yeah, or took off the wig.
Yeah, took off the wig. I just was watching his documentary Val, and it made me think about, how he had gotten into later life after the tracheotomy, but the way he's able to grimace with the face to show that he's still in pain from being shot in the shoulder. This is grade A acting right here in what's considered a supporting role. This is why he ends up being so good in, obviously, Tombstone.
And Tombstone was before this. So
yeah.
Val's riding high right now, and he sure is able to play the sick, injured person like he did it throughout the film in Tombstone, to be having TB, here being shot. Just like I said, he has that perfect grimace on his face. You can see the way he's moving his body, like it's injured still. But I just love how his character drives up in the fanciest car. What I don't understand, this is... there's some holes everywhere in this film.
Well, this is also 95. I also like to try to point people out that technology, we have to always try to turn our brains up to the technology we have, to what we had back then. So there is some way that back then you could get away with a few things that you can't get away with.
Well, no, there's that.
anymore.
But I'm talking about why would he drive up in the craziest, fanciest, nice looking car? Like, it looks like he just robbed the bank to buy this car.
Well, I don't think he thinks she's she has kind of betrayed him until she does the hand. That's when he realizes. So there's a double sadness in the look he's about to give. Sadness is realizing he has to walk away from her, and also knowing that somehow she's been gotten to by the police and has kind of almost betrayed him a little bit. There might be a sadness that he realizes it's because of him and his gambling problem too. Like, there's a combination of the world settling on his shoulders in this moment that, you may have survived this horrible event or the aftermath of this event.
Right.
But there's going to be large ramifications for the rest of however long your life is after it.
I just find it funny because in this moment, his character doesn't know the cops are there. And I love how he parks. Yeah. It's just so convenient that he happens to park at that part where they can make eye contact. What happens if he parked on the other side of the building and walked around the building? He would never. It's just funny how
I'm not worried then about my end here because I'm feeling good. I'm glad that I was worried.
Oh, dude, I
think one of the reasons I didn't want you to, I was worried. I was like, if I listen to it and everyone is just giving nothing but glowing reviews, they're going to think, who brought this bald fuck on the show to shit all over this stuff?
I found in a lot of these Michael Mann films, when you start looking, he is so full of plot holes, but it looks great. And this movie had a few moments, especially again at the end, where it's like a lot of things could have been mitigated or figured out, or the inability of cops to watch a prisoner. It's really odd. It's to serve the story for cool moments, but it doesn't work in real life at all. Yeah. That's what makes it sometimes hard to. And look, I'm not like, it has to be realistic. Well, no, I know, not realistic. I'm not saying that, but you can have a combination of a street fight that we mentioned before. I think Kate and I brought this up, how they are just laying arsenal up and down the streets with no civilians. They're just robbing a bank. Let them go. Like we talked about how they should have just followed them. Just follow them. Them chasing them on foot and that whole thing was unnecessary. All they had to do was stay in their unmarked police cars, let them get in their car and put a helicopter on top and tail the car. That's it. Yeah. And everyone, civilians are free and safe. Nobody gets hurt. But you know why they didn't do that, Scott? Because it's not cool. You have to have a cool shootout.
Yes. Some movies nowadays have had how do I properly say this? They blow their wad early, like they have their climax happens at the beginning of the last third. And then it now has to get to an ending where we feel good about it, and it peters a lot. And we have scenes added in that, honestly, you don't need. Like I will admit, as a Tarantino fan, Django Unchained is a bit like that. It's like, sometimes it's like, oh, we've made it to where we need to be, but then we got to separate them to bring them back together again, which is what we didn't need. We have them. They're there. We climax it here. We end it here with everyone's here. If they're going to get away, then they should get away. If they're going to get killed, they should get killed here. There's no need to have these great moments and then separate them to bring them back together again by using a bunch of convoluted plot devices to suddenly, now we're back together again.
Val smiles nice and big because at this moment he's like, she's forgiven me, she's here for me. So that's a great smile from Val. You can thumbnail that, all you girls out there, for the handsome man Val Kilmer. And then she's going to give the signal like, nope, do not come up here. And then the pain on his and her face, realizing this is goodbye, at least for now. Again, I haven't read Heat 2, the novel that Michael Mann wrote, but I suspect we're going to see them together somehow in part 2.
I love that they have a signal, and I love how their facial expressions change as they know what's going on. He notices she's not happy, and he gets worried, and then he notices her face is sad, and then she does the hand, and then he's like, I love that this is a person who stuck to what Neil McCauley said, right? Neil says, if you see the heat coming around the corner, you got to be willing to walk away in 30 seconds. And he does exactly. He turns around. Hey, man, is there any place to eat around here? You know, again, it's convenient. There's a basketball game going on. Look, I get it.
Right.
But this is a movie sometimes. But yeah, it does have its unfortunate things sometimes.
Okay, so this is an Al Pacino moment. You don't get a very big Al Pacino moments in this movie, or sorry, in your segment.
I know. This is one of them, kind of.
This is the only one in the last 30 minutes. It's a little bit Al Pacino-ish, but of course we had the big ass and give me all you got moments.
Oh, I love that. He is overacting, but yet it's glorious. Like, it's weird to say. There's just something about it. It just brings something to his character. Now, when he does it for every movie, like, ooh, like, all right, after a while it becomes like a thing he does. But in Heat, a guy who's always on the razor's edge, chasing these people down, and they just were shot at by a military onslaught earlier that day.
Right.
There is something about the way he reacts and responds. I enjoy. Some of the movies he does it in, it's not necessary, right? But for this movie, it does feel like this is who Hannah is and who he would be, as he's always on the hunt. And that he's just, as he said, that one, you got to be right there on the edge. He always does that little thing with his girlfriend or his wife. So it is Pacino, but something about him doing it in Heat, it's supposed to be in Heat. May not need to be always in Scent of a Woman and all this other stuff he does, but at least in Heat, it feels genuine for the character of Hannah.
Okay, so here he does one little moment for your segment.
Neil is gone. Bam! Flying like a bird.
That was it.
That's just great. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
I just love it because I don't think the script says bam. Like, I don't think the script says bam, does it?
Probably not. Most likely not. But it works, right? Because he just does know when to bring it up and bring it back down.
Mm-hmm.
Like when in that one scene you've already covered when he's singing, I get the feeling. Like, it's just this guy. It's one of the best roles I think Pacino has done. But it is one of the ones where, like, you can go, like, this guy will yell, like, the great ass. Like, he's, obviously you've already talked about it, but he's completely ad-libbing this. And you can tell because even in the way he does it, he's almost going to say, he doesn't know what he's about to say, but then he kind of goes into great ass. It looks like he was going to say big ass, but yeah.
Apparently the actor didn't know he was going to do that. Hank Azaria,
yeah. The only thing he took from his wife's ex-husband's home after he finds out she cheats on her is the TV. I just love that. When he's coming hauling ass up to the stoplight and then it's like, you know what? Fuck this TV. just kicks it out into the street.
Again, this is just cool looking shots. This moment of him kicking the TV out to the street people, I guess they are. And I like how they're kind of like, oh, cool, a new
for
TV.
The bus. Yeah.
But then the TV just falls apart like it's made out of eggshells when it hits the pavement. And they're like, hey, come on, man, that's not good. We could have used that. We could have sold that for something. They just leave it there. So he gets to his hotel. When he gets to his hotel after a long day of work, and I will say also, El's chewing of his gum the last half hour of this film is annoying. I really wish the director told him, don't chew gum. He's chewing gum here. He's chewing gum in the hospital. I don't know if it's the same stick of gum, but he is chewing, and literally chewing the scene, chewing gum. I find it annoying. I guess that was a character choice.
I think some of it is a way for him to break the anxiety of his day. The more he chews, the more it helps him relieve the tension of the day. And then this is a tough scene. And this is, for me, the start of where then the movie kind of starts the sidetrack. Not with her trying to take her life, but how everything is kind of reacted to afterwards. It feels like we're winding down on the film. He's gone. Neil's gone. It's over with. We did our best shot. He's like, you were good, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, he does that whole thing. And then he shows up here and we realize this little side story that is well done by Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
As a young girl, I mean, she's in The Professional and she's in Heat, and she kills both of those early roles. It's supposed to be a more dramatic moment than Michael Mann allows it to be as we get to the end. This is just filler so we can get Neil and him back together. It feels like we're tying up the ends, right? So, okay, we thought Charlene was going to be the reason we catch them. She tells Chris, don't come. That's a heartbreaking. He gets away, and she has to now live with the fact that, okay, I'm never going to see him again. If he doesn't get caught, this is a decade or so before they could ever see each other again, because she's going to be watched for a while until something happens, They're going to keep an eye and tabs on her forever. And she may have to then be moved for witness protection kind of thing. So that may be the last time she legitimately sees him. So that's tied that end up. And now we get here. So now Pacino realizes he had his shot and they didn't get him. And that's just the way it goes. And it's disappointing. Now we're going to wind this up by like, oh, crap. Finding out the importance of maybe not chasing something all the time because he thinks her father's deadbeat. And now he realizes that she came to him in a very strange way, but she felt comfortable doing it there, that someone would actually care that she died and it would be him. And then we ruin this moment. We're going to move forward to where now we're going to wrap up Neil and it should be good to go. He's going to go to the airport, but this is where we then sidetrack into Hollywood has got to end the film, making everyone feel good about it. This is where, for me, the wheels come off. We're tying this up. We're ending this film. It may not be the big, exciting shootout we had about 30, 40 minutes ago, but at the end of the day, this is how life will work sometimes. Sometimes crimes get committed and people get away, and sometimes they don't. And then this is where you think, okay, we're going to wrap up the Hannon story. Then we'll jump to Neil. We'll wrap it up, and they're going to fly off, and that's game. Done. It's like, wow. That's the reality of life.
Why I think they did this just for Al Pacino's character is to show that him and his wife, his third wife, though they had that, infidelity issue, I think we're led to believe they just might work it out. I think that's supposed to make us feel good about his character, that it shows that he is a good man, even though he focuses on the job, even though he tells her later in the hospital, like, it's still my job. I am who I chase and all this stuff. The fact that he took care of the daughter, was there, took her to the hospital, and he was there for her. And the daughter, played by Natalie, trusts him and loves him. I think this is to show that he's not old cop, that he's...
Agreed.
Yeah.
This is what it's supposed to be showing. This is where we feel it's angling towards, where like he's going to take her to the hospital, whether she lives or dies. Well, look, it's 95 still. She's going to live because that's just Michael Mann's sensibilities. He's not the independent director yet where this girl's dead and then, a big to-do happens. But
it would have been too much to have her die at this part of the film. It's just that
I agree.
Too depressing. The cuts are superficial. I don't think they're as deep as she would have wanted. I'm not going to speak about suicide attempts and things like that, but she's a 14-year-old girl. I mean, she's passed out. She bled out, but the water was still pink. It wasn't all red, which indicates it was probably superficial cutting on the legs, cutting on the wrist. People have done that where they cut. It's called cutting.
Yep.
So they're bleeding. So she's passed out, but she could have been there for 3 hours. So after 3 hours or so, sure. And when I first saw this scene, that somebody was in the hotel, because the director, Michael Mann, shows you the lighted door open.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, is De Niro's character there? They kicked the shite out of him. But it wasn't until the reveal of the tub, like, oh yeah, Natalie's in there.
Clearly, Natalie knew he was there, her character. So which means she went home and asked about him, and the mom had to tell her that they're not together, whatever, and he's gone to a hotel or whatever. So she probably was pissed at the mom and went there because the only thing she felt stable, because as we learn later here in this scene, the mom is just as clueless as the real dad. She's not very good with taking care of this kid. She's all upset about not having her braids and everything ready. And the mom's just kind of like, look, don't worry about your dads. And be like, this child is almost an inconvenience to both of the real parents. And the only person who really does seem to give a shit is Al Pacino's character, which is why she goes to him. So that's kind of like the subcontext in the scene that after you watch it enough times, you start to pick up. But there's clearly in the stuff that we don't see been an argument between mom and daughter where she finds out that he's no longer there because there's no other reason she would have found the hotel. She would have had to know that they're not together and he's gone to stay in a hotel. Maybe she called around or called one of the friends or whatever to find out where he was. But that's how he's able to find her. There's a little hole you can fill in without having to technically have it signpost and have to have a whole 27-minute scene about those two fighting.
I do love how Al Pacino's character, when he brings in Natalie, and he knows all the doctor lingo. Just go, I need this stat. Like, Al, you're a cop. Settle down.
Maybe because he's on bending it up. Maybe, maybe
I know.
Kind of thing.
I know. He's like, this is what I need. Okay.
But this is another chance for him to yell. I got a doctor here.
Here's Dr. Pacino to the actual medical professionals.
Yes. Hey, I know what I'm doing here. I'm sleeping at a Holiday Inn over here.
Let's go. A doctor here.
Oh, there's your mom.
Okay,
Your mom
let's
is
just calm down. Is she on any drugs?
No. All right, I want you to get a trauma surgeon down here and a vascular surgeon. I think she cut both arteries. Also, I can hardly feel her pulse. Her pressure's way down, so is her respiration. So you're gonna have to intubate her.
Ready.
Okay, you're a trained first aider because you're a military service, right? And I am too. Now he did do some good things. This is what he did good: is he gave a report. He gave a report of that's good. He gave a report of all of his findings. Look, low heart rate, low pulse, whatever like that. But I just love how he's like, but you got to give her this, give her that. Like, okay, well,
you're gonna have to innovator, all right?
Yeah, you got to innovator. You got to innovator because it's a big word. You got to innovator.
Innovator, God damn it! Somebody give me a cappuccino.
Somebody give me an Al Pacino with a cappuccino. I just love it.
He is great. He is great. But he sells it as a younger movie goer. When we saw this, we were able to let it slide because it's Al Pacino, right? We're kind of like, hey, it works. Here we go. We're coming to this.
Oh yeah,
this beginning of the end for me right here. But go ahead.
Okay. Right now, everything's good. John Voight's character with the horrible mullet just told De Niro, and
see, that's for me where
you don't like the mullet. Or?
John Voight's character the whole time has basically been kind of like, is it worth this kind of heat? He's a very like, hey, there's plenty of times for us to get other heists done. Once they feel the heat was on them and they went to that, whatever, silver deposit place, wherever, and they decide to walk because that dude hits the truck and they walk away. And then they talk about this job, the bank job. And he's like, look, if you want another job, you know, you don't need to be. He was like, brother, takes the heat off. Because he started to tell about how Hannah this and all that stuff. They had that big moment in the car.
Right.
And then he's like, he didn't keep Chris because he's like, hey, it's a free country. So he's all about like, you look, go do your thing, get out of it. There is no need for him at all to tell him, hey, your out is here. Oh, and by the way, if you need to go find Waingro, here's where he is. There's no reason at all, except we need to bring Pacino and De Niro back because we didn't tie it up at the end. And because we can't let this end with the bad guy winning. So, because we're still playing in 1980s movie fare the way we're still playing like the good guys always win. Find really any movies outside of Empire Strikes Back in the 80s where the bad guys, the supposed bad guys, are technically the victors within the film. It's very rare, especially from the 80s. The 90s would change that a lot. Usual Suspects, the bad guy wins, gets away with it. So technically 7, the bad guy wins. The bad guy wins the day.
Yeah.
He completes what he was trying to do. He won. So there's a lot of movies where the bad guys are I wouldn't say bad guys, but we now have gray characters, right? So we're living in a world of gray characters. The person that we are all rooting for in this film is not Al Pacino and his cops. We have all been rooting for De Niro and his crew because they're the first people we meet and we watch them and we watch that first robbery and we love them. We hate Waingro. Of course, we all want to see Waingro die, but at the same time, he's not worth going after what we've just been through. Right. Not at all. Especially now that De Niro's finally convinced this girl to leave with him. He goes against every single thing he said he would do.
Yeah.
Just because it's convenient at the end of the film. And then if you want me to believe because he falls in love with a girl he slept with once because they talked over come on, stop.
Judging Amy. Come on, man. Don't judge Amy.
I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm just saying that this is, we're not it.
No,
I'm not buying that there's a sudden romance. They had sex once. All right. There's some lust. Good for him. He's not lonely anymore. But at the same time, you're going to throw away everything. Since this was your last job and you're retiring, all of that to go after some mullet that you have enough money at this point, you can call in a favor and get him killed later on. You don't need to do this. And he does not need to tell you where he is at all.
But he does.
Because this is where we're going to wrap this up. And once we get to the ending part, I'll explain why it just doesn't work because it's set up in something you cover with someone else when they sit down at the coffee table.
Right. Well, no, you're right. Because he says when you got to be ready to drop the heat. So not only does he not drop or get away from the heat, he actually enters the furnace.
Yes.
He goes right into the heat.
Goes right into the lion's den. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It does show that if you're a white man in a suit, you can literally walk in anywhere. If you're a white guy in a suit, you can walk into any place, or unasked a question. Exactly. Or a ladder. You just walk in someplace, no one asks you a question.
Well, I understand he gets like a concierge suit down here, and he's already wearing kind of a suit. Is there really that much difference between the suit he's wearing and the concierge suit?
I think he puts on the security suit. I think that's what that has. Or something like that. So he looks like he's security. So when he knocks on the door and pulls. But again, was he planning on pulling the fire alarm to start with? I think he must have been. But if he's trying to do this without attracting more heat, he does exactly what he's. Once he sees here's the thing.
Yeah.
Once he sees the shotgun right there in that scene, the moment you just kind of were flipping through. This is when he goes, if you see the heat, you turn away 30 seconds. That is when he's supposed to turn on. He should know that, you know what? It's not worth it. This is not worth it.
Well, he already knows the cops are there. That's what I don't understand. It's not like he's...
Well, he knows right then and there. Like, he probably has a good idea they're there, but right then and there, he knows that they're looking, that they're waiting for him. And that is all he should need to turn around and be like, you know what? No. There'll be an opportunity later on in life to catch up to Waingro.
So
or to find someone to get Waingro.
Is that clerk behind the counter, is that a cop?
Well, how does the cop know how to check people in? It's part of the ruse that we have to sometimes put it aside our knowledge. But apparently this undercover cop is now also really good at checking people in the hotel, knowing all their procedures. So because he's really undercover.
Because this guy looks at De Niro's character walking through the lobby like, I don't know what that guy walking with a suit. I'm not too sure.
So this is what we have to do, right? So for that moment, you have to suspend your belief. Two things. One, we have to believe that he's a cop. So if we believe he's a cop and is able to figure out how to check people in, then he doesn't know who's actually on staff as security. Yeah, that's how he can walk by him. That's what I mean.
It's confusing. Why does the concierge dude care who walks around the lobby? There's tons of people walk around the lobby.
None.
Why does De Niro stick out? I don't understand what that shot was even shot. What was the story there?
The story is to let us know that Neil has decided to break all rules because one guy who he should have killed earlier and should have tracked down a long time ago, they let go and got his crew killed. But at the same time, he got away with millions of dollars. Well, this is everything has a camera. He is going to get on a plane and get out of there and live in the non-extradition country, and that'll be it. He's good to go.
Why the fire alarm causes so much panic in this hotel? I don't understand. I've been in buildings with sometimes people just don't even leave. But why does everyone actually act like the building has been hit by the Unabomber? Their reaction is so chaotic. Fire trucks, police cars, helicopters, and the hotel is full of people. There are people fully dressed for the day, but they're running like Godzilla is in the hotel. Why the panic?
The only thing I think of is I didn't check it. Was there a major fire in a hotel at some point in LA where people are now like, it's like the boogeyman story where it's like, we got to get out of here. Like this has happened before. My question is how does Al Pacino make it from the hospital in time to get to the hotel? Well, I mean, I get in a chopper, but where's that landing? Did they just land on the roof?
Talked about the timings. I love how he runs down the stairs here. It shows how agile.
How does he know that means that they've got Neil?
Has anyone even said Neil's here?
No, there's been no indication that Neil's there.
That's what I don't understand. So the fire alarm's been rung by Neil. He's there. Yeah. Yes, he's about to kill Waingro. And the one cop who sees the assault gets knocked out. So he doesn't alert other cops that Waingro's
the other cop dead. Went running to find out what's going on. Don't they have a radio or a phone they can call down to the desk?
His back is turned, doesn't see De Niro's character. Yeah. He's just looking out the window. Waingro comes over here.
Waingro doesn't know that there's an actual cops watching his room. He just thinks he's going to hide out in this hotel.
So the cops are watching his room. Fair. Mm-hmm. They know what De Niro's character looks like.
Mm-hmm. They should. And they should have known the minute a fire alarm is pulled. Well, they should have called down. They have a radio. Like they've got a guy down the front desk. They should have called immediately.
But no one has said, hey, the fire alarm's been rung in the building where we're watching Waingro. It's got to be connected. But we never see that dialogue. That's what I mean. Why the cops are hounding
cops in the delivery area? Thinking that if anyone can sneak in, where would you sneak in? You'd sneak in through the back. And there's not a policeman.
This is what I mean. It all looks cool. It's all chaotic, cool, but it doesn't make sense. The human behavior here is so out of character for humans. Like, I don't understand how anyone is acting. Fire alarms are okay, walk out the hallways. Oh, this kind of sucks. But there's like, please, fire, chaos, running. Why are they acting like Godzilla's in the hallway?
The biggest problem is, and why I think we both have an issue towards the end of this film, is the meticulous attention to detail that the first 2/3 of this film pays. Obviously, the shootout, one of the greatest shootouts and action scenes ever filmed in history. Yes, there are some holes there, and I totally agree with you on that. But what I love about it is there is a lot of attention to detail through this whole beginning of 2/3 of the movie. We are getting into the nitty-gritty between the police work and how professional thieves actually try to negotiate against each other. That's why it is such a great movie to me, is the first 2/3. I love it. What hurts it is then suddenly at the end, we suddenly go, this is how we want to end it. Just like Neil, they walk away from everything they have told us they're going to do or this is about, just so we can get some ending that, okay, so now we're going to get Waingro killed. So now we all feel, okay, good. Neil did what he wanted to do. He avenged his buddies. Buddies is a bad guy, so we got to make sure the good guys win still. Otherwise, Grandma and Grandpa won't be able to sleep at night without locking the door and having 2 shotguns in the bed. It's the old Hollywood way, and then that's why this movie at this point starts to come off the tracks, because we have spent over 2 hours with them going on a ride, which has felt like, man, this is locked in. And then all of a sudden, they're like, let's just end it this way. And that is why it becomes so frustrating. And I think a lot of people, if they really were honest with themselves, you love the movie up through the shootout. After the shootout, it really starts to go, maybe even a few minutes after, when he finds out why it happens and he goes and we find Danny Trejo. That stuff's still pretty good. Maybe even up to Chris being told that he's got to leave. After that, it's now we've got to tie this movie up and make everyone go home feeling like the good guys won. But everyone still feels good that Neil got his comeuppance for Waingro. It makes zero sense of why the people in it are doing what they're doing and how they're getting to where they're getting. After we've just, they were up in a rooftop because they went to a dinner and they had stuff everywhere. And all of a sudden it's like, well, we don't need to put any cops blocking anywhere. It's insane how this movie just suddenly, they just at the end forget everything they've built for us and just said, we're going to end it this way. It's what is frustrating if you start to put a critical eye to it. If you just want to sit here, eat popcorn and don't care and you're happy with how it ends, then you know what? I have no problem with that either. But it is hard to sit and critique a film properly and not notice the glaring ball being dropped at the end of this film after everything that they did to set this film up and start to deliver it to us, which was meticulously done. It's almost a masterclass in how to do a film until you get to the end. It's almost like Michael Mann said, someone else can direct the end. I'm going to go home. I think I did a pretty good job with the shootout. I'm done. You guys end it how you want.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, yeah, interesting. Okay, well, let's watch this is a fun scene because we all hate Waingro as a viewer. So despite...
I'm so glad he gets killed, but at the same thing, like I said, having a fun time, Waingro and that awful mullet.
That's what I mean. It's not worth it, and it doesn't make sense with De Niro's character, everything he's done, which could just be part of the story with this shows that even though he follows the Heat advice by leaving his girl behind, but goes into the very furnace itself.
That's the wrong time to suddenly realize what you should and shouldn't have done.
Well, he's just blinded by revenge. I guess at the end of the day, you could say he's blinded by revenge.
Yeah. Security, there's a fire on 3. We have to evacuate all the floors. I can't leave here. Look, why don't we just talk about this a bit, huh, brother?
There's no need to open the door at all.
Yeah,
there just isn't. I like that Waingro gets killed. As a person who hated Waingro throughout the whole movie, I'm glad he gets killed, but I think there was a better way that we could have had that happen without ruining the end of this film and going through this whole dog and pony show where the guy who's supposed to be watching the door, the cop, like you said, he's
just looking out the window. Like, he's just looking at the window.
He's like he's Bruce Willis in Die Hard looking for the fire trucks that come out. You know what I mean? Like when he's
he's really fascinated by
Dalmatian. I feel like he's reenacting that scene for us in this part.
That's what I mean. He's looking at the chaos outside that shouldn't exist. Just people leaving a building. I don't know why the cop is so enamored by police trucks and cars. They're like, you are emergency personnel.
Yes.
You shouldn't be so fascinated by the roundup of people, and he should be focusing on his job, watching Waingro. But anyways, De Niro comes in. We'll play this sequence through because it's a great kill.
He's here on 17. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
The cop says before the killing of Waingro, the cop actually goes on his walking and says he's here on 17.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, do they have cops on every floor? Like, you should have to say what floor you're on because, like, you're on the 70. He's here on floor 17 where we've been for the last week. Well, yeah, you don't. Anyway, there's that. But what I also found funny was how do they know it's him? He never sees him clearly. All he sees is the door's been busted down. It could be any one of Waingro's enemies. The idea that he's here. Who?
Yeah. How come the other guy had to leave and not use the same walkie to find out what's going on with this alarm?
And on top of that, we still haven't been shown that Pacino's character's been alerted that De Niro's character's here.
Nope.
Even though he's acting already. We talked about this in one of the other parts. I can't remember exactly which scene it was, but there was events that the cops did that was out of sequence. Like they reacted on information that they hadn't received yet. So this is what I mean by bad editing.
Yep.
This is another bad edit where they should have had this happen right now, sure. And then Pacino's pager goes off.
Yeah. But if they do that, he doesn't get there in time. I don't care how many helicopters he takes.
Well, there already are police vehicles here, and there's police vehicles here, and there's helicopters here. But what I'm getting at is that would have made more sense.
Yep.
Had they said he's here, then his pager goes off at the hospital, then he leaves, but he's already left. As of right now with the film events, Pacino's already headed towards the hospital. So why is the cop announcing? The cop should have already told that cop, hey, just so you know, Pacino's on his way because he knows De Niro's there. Like, who knows who right now?
It's like, hey, someone ordered a BLT. They got his name wrong. He's here.
He's here.
He sprints down the stairs. BLT is the code word. And then, of course, he sees him through a crowd. Look at, there is movie.
This is what I mean by the crowd. This is what I mean by the crowd. Why is the crowd so chaotic? Look at how many people are pouring out of it. But why is there police with shotguns? Why are the police there? There's no
the police are there because they think that this is probably so the fire has to show up regardless.
Right. But the police are there because Waingro's there. Waingro's there, so they have a police
that they show up because they think that maybe he may have been pulling something. And I'm not sure why Pacino looks down there and sees a car scene with a girl and goes, "That's his."
How does he know that's De Niro's girlfriend?
He doesn't. Because
do we know? Have they ever been introduced to De Niro's character?
He has no idea.
So it could just be a panicked woman in a car. Yep. This is the same thing that happens this moment here. De Niro comes out, thinking, hey, I just killed Waingro, big happy smile. Now I'm going to go live my life with judging Amy. Moment. And this is the same thing Val's character did when he saw his woman. Like he was happy for a second. I'm going to be with my woman. And both men get cock blocked by their own events. How we got here is ridiculous. I agree. How we got to this moment is ridiculous. However, the acting that De Niro does, even though the setup is horrible, we talked about how good these actors are. They were given a horrible, like how we got here, like that, all the events, like it's not their fault. But De Niro's acting of like, oh, my life's about to change. I've got to dump this girl. The heat is here, and he follows his advice that he should have always followed. But when he does follow it here, his facial expression, watch it right now, is actually just, it's called acting, folks. How he changes. Like De Niro almost looks like a different person.
How either of them saw each other from this distance is beyond me.
Yeah, how they saw each other from that far, yeah. But how he looks here, how he looks afraid. He's like, crap, I gotta go. I gotta dump Judge and Amy. And then he looks at her one last time like, I can't, I gotta go. And she's like, you son of a bitch. You're really leaving me.
However, the fire truck did block their way. They could have gotten the car, but
yeah.
How is he going to get out of there with all this commotion in the car anyways?
Yeah, he parked way too close to the events.
Yeah.
So he runs away in the foot chase. Now, this is the rest of the film, so you can talk about the ending now, because the rest of the film, it's a foot chase. That's all it is.
If you don't want to hear this part because you think what I'm going to say is going to be an asshole, that's fair. However, this is where the fall apart happens.
I've never seen Al run so much in a film. He's Tom Cruise running in this film.
Literally. With a shotgun, which slows him down. Yeah. You have to suspend simply because there's word now. De Niro's already got a head start on him. Pacino stopped to see which way he went, grabbed a shotgun, and De Niro has got a way ahead of him. How De Niro doesn't just stop right there and wait from the corner of the hill and shoot him. This is where this ending really falls apart for me.
But it looks good. That's the point.
The problem with this ending is it was set up how this movie should have ended. Even if we can sidetrack the ridiculousness of them getting back together at this point, the coffee shop scene together is how the movie ends, how they're supposed to. They both say that they can do nothing else except this, and they will die doing so. They have both just literally walked away from the two most important things in their lives because of their stupidity and ego of having to either be a cop and be a crook. He walked away from a girl who was going to give him a normal life because he had to be a dumbass. He left the one person in his life who actually cared about him, that being Pacino, because he has to just track this guy down. He just has to get this guy. This movie should end with them both dead, because what we're going to get is the most ridiculous circumstances of a shootout ever. And it absolutely ruins this film for me. And many times I will turn it off before we get to this point so I don't actually get mad at this. The ridiculousness we're going to get into in a second. One, how is he caught up to him already? Unless he is Tom Cruise.
Pacino,
He was already behind him, and he's carrying a shotgun, which adds weight to your run.
Look at the plane shot of him running by planes.
I mean, it looks beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong. There's a well-shot sequence. I'm not taking that away from it. But now he is. Neil is going to have the drop on him every minute of this and could have killed him at any time. At any time. And we've seen how good Neil is at this. Pacino is dead duck. He runs through this completely not the way a cop should go through something like this. He should have run up to that wall, hugged the wall, and then tactically looked both sides to make sure he could even enter that way. He just runs through. De Niro could have just been sitting outside, shot him, and killed him instantly, and made it to the plane without the girl. Now he's going to stand behind these little barriers, and there's a reason he's doing it this way. He's putting his back to the runway lights, because the runway lights are extremely, extremely bright. However, Pacino, our hero, is going to run full on into the runway lights. Like literally, he's just standing out there in the clear. There's no protection. He's doing everything a cop should not do because he just has to capture him. So if we're not going to have him be killed, because apparently Mann doesn't believe in that. See the shot right here? Yeah. Pacino is dead. Dead. He doesn't find any cover. He is dead. He's looking into the lights as well. So how Mann's going to end this for us is make us believe that De Niro is waiting for the lights to come on. He knows it's going to blind him. He's going to get perfect sight of Pacino's character if he's in his line of sight. And he's going to be able to take him out. But no, the lights will come on, and somehow Pacino is going to be able to not instantly be blinded by the lights, see a shadow, turn to the right, fire off a round without seeing it, just in the direction he thinks the shadow is. Not only does he get the shot off, he hits Macaulay dead center of his chest. Macaulay gets, see, look at the lights. Look at the lights. Look how bright that is.
Yep.
And now he's backing up to get behind there because he knows if he enters that alley and he sees him, he's dead. He knows this, right? And this is why it sets up. So the next time the lights come on, and you'll watch it go back and forth, Neil is listening for the plane. He's listening for a plane to land when the next time it comes on. So he hears it, and so he gets ready. Instead of just edging around that corner to shoot him, which is what most people would have done, and he would have done, he's got him dead to rights. But he decides to then step out further for some reason. And Pacino's going to just wildly fire a shot and then look straight into the lights at Macaulay as he's falling backwards and hit him like 4 more times. Not once bothered by the lights. Macaulay doesn't get up a single shot, and we have to have the movie end so the bad guy loses and the good guy has won. Look at him step out there. He has no cover. Neil could have popped out right now and just shot at him, and he is dead. Even without the lights, he is dead. He is zero cover, and he's just waiting for the lights to come on. Here's how I would have been okay with it.
Right.
They both shoot. They both die. They both collapse and die away from each other. Overhead shot. The two of them bleeding out, doing exactly what they said they would have done. Both dying alone, both doing something stupid. They could have both been alive, but they had to continually be who they were and not walk away from it. And so they both died. I would have been happy with that. I would have been okay with all the other bullshit we just went through. But for Pacino to be not in a position of advance, and here it comes. And we're going to slow it down. He's not looking. He takes a step out. Oh, we see a shadow. I'm just going to, just knows, got him. Just knows exactly where to shoot. His eyes are just focused. The lights don't bother him. Not a blink.
Amazing. Amazing.
And Macaulay gets off nothing. Now, this shot should have been both of them dead. That's how the film ends.
No.
The two of them bleeding out. I would have been fine with that. That's how the movie was set up by Michael Mann to end, is that these two gentlemen were going to die squaring off against one another.
Okay,
but we have to end it with the good guys winning. We get this awful bullshit ending that is just crystallized by the most ridiculous shot ever. It is absolutely insane that that's how this ends.
Told you I'm never going back.
Told you I'm never going back.
Yeah, great. And he should be dead.
Yeah, you did.
He had him dead to rights 700 times.
But they hold hands. He holds his hand while he dies.
I know. I understand. Look, this is the drama of Hollywood because they had respect for each other. But
yes, this is where
it's ridiculous. Ruins it for me.
We talked about it a little bit during the dinner scene. I think a little bit of them having to have equal dialogue and all this stuff. Even though it's quote unquote De Niro's character that dies, Al Pacino's there to hold his hand. They're both top tier actors. Yeah. This is Pacino saying, "You're just as much of an actor as I am, Bobby. We're brothers and actors." I get it. I know it's art, life
ruins this movie for me because it's such a brilliant scene of them at the coffee shop. And they, if you watch enough movies are always made to, and if they're really well done, the writer will write it so that you're given hints of what's going to come, because it's sprinkled throughout the story so that you aren't surprised when it happens. Once you watch them enough, you know how it is. You watch your favorite movie 100 times, you start to realize, oh, this is how this is going to work. This is how these plot threads are going to come together. Oh, he said this is what's probably going to end up happening. For this movie to then just end, there's no reason that movie ends the way it ends. Zero reason. That upsets me because it makes us, as the movie going audience, like we're stupid. Yes, the first 2/3 of this film are a masterpiece, but I always give this 4 out of 5 stars because of the ending. The ending keeps this from being an ultimate masterpiece because, just like Neil, it does not stay true to what it said it was at the end. It ruins the end. And the end is even more ridiculous when you sit there and watch it in the context of what's happening. There is zero reason Al Pacino isn't killed 7 times before he even gets to shoot him. And then he wildly fires off around because he knows where a shadow is.
Crazy.
Like he knows the angle of the shadow to just turn enough to fire. And Neil, what is he waiting for? Is he going to step out, do a spin, and then shoot? Like, what is he waiting to shoot for? So, again, I don't want to say I hate but I think what makes it frustrating is how good of a movie it truly is for the most of it. And then for it to just suddenly end so poorly. A movie can be judged on its beginning and its end. If it has a great beginning and great ending, sometimes the stuff in the middle we can overlook if we feel like that beginning and ending married each other. And we feel like, yes, I feel good about how this movie went. Sometimes you go through a movie and it's muddles in the middle, here and there. You're like, all right, we probably got to cut this and that. But when it ends strong and it starts strong, you're sucked into the story. When it ends poorly, you feel like you have wasted 2 hours and 30 something minutes of your time for it to end with the good guy always winning. And that's the disappointing thing. And then when you rewatch it, it doesn't hold up because how much cinema has moved forward since that time, especially because of the 90s. And even in the 70s, the good guys didn't always win. And that was what I liked. I want true stories. If they both have to die, if we can't let Neil get away, fine. They both die doing what they said they were going to do. And they're the ultimate alphas for each other. They're the ultimate predator prey for each other. They take each other out. They both die alone, having been stupid and not realizing that their so-called ethos is what got them both killed in that moment. But instead, we just get the happy ending where, oh, hey, feel good, everybody. Pacino got the bad guy, but we're good to go. Everyone go home and thanks. We'll see you again in Collateral kind of thing. So,
sure. All right. Also, with the old fair points, I'm not disagreeing with you in that sense of, well, we talked about how we got here. How we got here was a little bit silly. I didn't even consider the shootout, the lighting and the angle. I didn't even consider all that stuff. Again, I was watching the aesthetic of it. So that's what I mean.
Oh, it's shot beautifully. Yeah, it's shot beautifully. It's a beautifully shot bad ending because it looks gorgeous. It is gorgeously shot. They do a great job of making that runway and the airport look. I mean, it's beautiful. It's amazing.
Michael Mann's really good at setting up the beautiful shot. If you could just sometimes correlate the storyline with it, would be perfect. Okay, before we close, where can people find you?
My big show is the Church of Tarantino, where I talk all ad nauseum about Tarantino, and I am as critical on him as I am on others. So I don't want to think it's just me blowing smoke up his ass. I have been very critical of him. You can find me at the Church of QT Pod on all the socials except for X. And then I also am lucky enough to have been allowed by Mr. Rebelkin to be on his other network, that being the Last of the Action Heroes. And I do 2 shows, both with my buddy Steve. We do Men of Action. And in season 2 of that new venture, we are finishing up putting 2 sequels of action genre against one another in a specific genre of action to see if they deserve to be a sequel and which one's the better one. And then we have a year to go. We're almost there. We are finishing up our Dropping a Bruce. We have 1 more year to go. We are going through all 40, as we call them, STDs, straight to demand movies from his career. It has been a slog, but it has been a fun journey. And it's a little sad. I think I've told just melancholy to watch one of your heroes now that you know what he has. I mean, besides the movies not being great, but to watch him actually, you can see the aphasia now where we are. It's really bad. And you start to wonder if he was taken advantage of as well, as there's a new documentary coming out on who's the head of Marvel, Stan Lee, where the last couple of years he was really abused by some of the people.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So I wonder how much of that is also true of Mr. Willis being put in some of these films where you can clearly tell he should not be there. It's not good. So, yeah, that's where you can find me at the Last of the Action Hero Podcast Network for those 2, and then Church of Tarantino, Church of QT Pod.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
At the end of the day, this is a fun, fantastic film. It reinvigorated, I think, realistic firefights in movies, grounded movies when it comes to like heists and bank robberies. We know Christopher Nolan borrowed a lot of his filmmaking from this film, grounded in realism. The aesthetic was gritty. It brought that grittiness back to movies, which the 80s really kind of destroyed. Yeah, this is a 70s film in the 90s, and it's a great film. We love it, but it's not perfect, and that's, everyone's going to say love, 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 but at the end of the day, it's still good to kind of break things apart. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on for part 1, but I want you to share your fandom and thoughts on the classic shootout scene at the end of this movie. What are your thoughts on that sequence?
It's an absolute masterclass in filmmaking. I think it's also incredibly influential. I know Christopher Nolan was inspired by it. If you watch the beginning of The Dark Knight, for sure. And I believe he's gone on record saying it, that he used Heat as an inspiration for that sequence. But I think the one thing that is really worth noting in this sequence is Michael Mann's insistence that it sounds the way it would sound. I was watching this movie the other night before we sat down to podcast about it. My wife indicated how annoyed she was with how loud it was.
Oh, nice. No, that's the best part. That's the best part.
And I was like, that's a point of the scene and the movie is it's one thing to watch an action scene with guns in it, but in this scene, you hear it and you feel it, and it definitely adds weight to the sequence, and it also illustrates the power that everybody is holding in their hands. I don't think a movie before Heat had really delivered that without sounding like a cartoon. Like we've always had cartoon type gunshots in movies, or gunshots that don't match the gun that's being fired, but Mann's insistent that every gun that's heard, it's the actual gun sounding the way it's supposed to sound with live ammunition, because even dummy ammunition is going to sound different. So to get that power, and you definitely feel it. If the scene wasn't shot that way, it wouldn't feel the way that it does. The bulk of that sequence, there's no music.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's also a masterful choice, because you get this silence that is interspersed with just huge booms. It definitely helps sell the way everybody's acting and reacting. It's just Mann's desire for authenticity really, really took this sequence to another level. It's probably the sequence everybody that talks about this film thinks of when you think of the movie Heat. It's either going to be this sequence or the diner sequence.
Of course. And I would say I haven't yet recorded that sequence with my co-host, regarding the shootout. I'm sure I'm going to share my thoughts there, but I have a theory as you were talking about why there's no music just off the top of my head. A couple of reasons. One, because Michael wants the scene to feel more realistic, that we're witnessing the shootout, that we're there. We're supposed to be a little bit scared. Like, they're not hiding behind the musical scores. Oh, this isn't a movie anymore. We're in the fight. We're in the firefight. So it feels more raw. And this feels unsafe as a viewer almost. We're not protected by the score. And I think the other thing that there's no scores because Michael Mann wants us to feel our own feelings about it. Because music will direct your feelings. Do you feel scared? Do you feel tense? Do you feel excited? There's no, this is how you're going to feel when this guy goes down or that guy goes down or whatever it might be. Like, you're just going to watch this and whatever you take. I'm directing the scene, but I'm not going to direct how you're going to feel about it with any kind of cues. You just take it.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on for this segment. All right. Thanks a lot, Craig.
Oh, you got it.
All right, Doug. So now Craig has just shared his thoughts on the shootout of Heat's final battle with of course, the guns. It's the famous scene. We heard his thoughts. We're at the part of part 5 where we're discussing that now. I've inserted this into that talk. So people want to know, Doug, what are your thoughts on that? Of course, the big shootout at the end of Heat.
Well, at the risk of rehashing like things about the actual shootout, I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's a fantastic scene. A couple of things I want to point out is first, the few times you mentioned like the shootout at the end of the movie, there's actually, after the shootout, there's like an hour of movie left.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you realize that? Yeah. I mean, it's the escape, the getaway of the people involved. So it's remarkable because that's technically the climax of the movie, right? One would think.
Yeah,
but there's so
often we always say it's at the end because I don't know why it feels that way, but it seems like
it does. Yeah, it seems like that's the end of it. But there's so much after the shootout to be watched. So don't think that the shootout is all that stands because there's so much left. But I don't know if Craig touched upon or if any of your future guests will touch upon.
Doesn't matter. You just say what you got to say. It's all good.
There was an actual real life shootout. Mm-hmm. It in my weird worldview, I thought happened before this, and I thought that Heat modeled this scene after this North Hollywood shootout. But actually, the North Hollywood shootout occurred in 1997.
That's
right. 2 years.
That's right. I remember that being talked about. If I remember, is that what you're saying? I remember like this is like a movie.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. But there was 2 bank robbers armed to the teeth armored. They were head to toe in Kevlar, and it was a bank robbery. The LAPD that this occurred in North Hollywood. It was a 44-minute shootout all throughout the streets of Los Angeles, North Hollywood, and where actually the police were not only outgunned, they had to go to neighborhood gun stores to rearm themselves because they didn't have enough ammo or weapons to combat these guys. These guys were armed to the
I forgot about this. I did forget it. I mean, it's coming back to me now, but that's funny. Good for bringing that up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's actually a pretty good real life movie after Mario von Peebles is in it. The movie's okay, but it shows like a real life account of it, and it's pretty accurate. But
it's called Not Heat.
It's it's called not. No, it's called 44 minutes. But
no, it's called Reheat.
I love it. But after these guys were eventually dispatched, I forgot how long the shootout lasted. It was like hours that these guys were just marching throughout the streets, just firing thousands of rounds of ammunition. They when they investigated the shootout, what they found in the VCR player was a tape of the movie Heat.
That's right.
So the I guess the common belief is these guys engineered the shootout after watching Heat. You know what I mean? So it's possible. There's no evidence to prove that, but I mean the similarities are pretty extensive.
Yeah, interesting.
But otherwise that shootout scene, when they pull up in the middle of the street is It's incredible. This time in 1995 is like you see it's not just a shootout between the cops and the bad guys. You see a lot of collateral damage, like bystanders getting picked off and stuff like that. Which, I mean, nowadays in use of force situations, you're not supposed to engage in anything that can harm bystanders. Blah blah blah. Right. But yeah, that's great, fantastic friggin' movie scene though.
Wow, yeah, very well said. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And good reminder about that. You're right. You know, it's funny. It wasn't brought up when I was talking to Craig and maybe other hosts because they're not going to hear your breakdown, right? So maybe they'll bring it up. But good job on that. I remember that making the news feeds back then, and you're right. It was after. But you could also argue because Heat came out in 95 that should have took out. They could have just been. It was a very popular movie to rent at the time, regardless. So they could have been renting the film anyways. But yeah.
I don't know why. For some reason, I thought that Heat was kind of made after that, and they used that shootout as.
Michael Mann wrote this film already, like way ago for a TV movie.
Yes. So. In my limited research, I did find that out, but yeah.
Craig said it's not worth watching. He said it's an interesting experience to watch in the sense of like, sure you can watch it, but it's nothing like the movie. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And on to the next host.
Now, my thoughts on the overall bank heist are that it not only delivers on what you've been asking for this whole time, but for lack of a better emphasis, it gives you the adrenaline rush that the characters are feeling. So it's more than just we, the audience, are rewarded with what we've been waiting to see this whole time. We've had all these other, side penultimate heist attempts and things gone wrong, but I think for the actual heist itself, like the finale, I think the reason it is just instilled in film historians and audiences alike is just because of a few different key factors. And Michael Mann was on the director's chair for Robert Rodriguez's El Rey Network show. It's now defunct, but from about 2017, 2018, he had Michael Mann on there, and Rodriguez brings up a good point how Brian Eno's score is going and then just totally stops. As soon as Val Kilmer's character Chris is, made and opens fire on the detectives of the Vice Squad. And the music just stops. And kudos to everybody in the background, all the stunt people, all the extras, all the backup camera shots. We're actually seeing just all the mayhem unfold, but everyone's reacting, and it just has a better just more, again, just the emphasis to detail. You don't feel like anybody's needlessly getting attacked or anything, and it helps that the characters have a code. The cops are going to uphold this, and altogether, just seeing again just this realistic gunfire and the sound echoes just like it would in real life. So just that much emphasis on the detail just really just captivates us. And Andy McNabb, apparently a Bravo 20, the real life British Special Forces guy, oversaw some of this. And you definitely you're seeing everything again, much like we talked about. Dennis Haysberd's, Wheelman character just meets a tragic end. So we're both equal parts, just energized, horrified. It's a war movie in LA all of a sudden, and it just is stellar because now we can root for either character, and we're both wowed at either side. That there's tragedies on both sides of the law too, so that makes it even more both equal parts haunting and visceral, just very emotional. And altogether, we just really we can't take our eyes off the screen. It is impossible. It doesn't matter how many times you watch this. You could even not be a fan of this movie, and you cannot take your eyes off this. And nothing else matters right now. Watching this awesome shootout, and again, it's just so rare to just have blockbuster movies like this just grab you and make you almost jump out of your seat. You can't believe what you're watching. It's, again, the attention to detail is so electrifying. So, yeah. Thank you all for letting me hop on this part of the chat. And again, just delight being on the show just because, again, Ryan's just killing it here with the details. He puts the D in detail for that matter. Right. Peace.
The firefight, in my opinion, is maybe the single greatest action scene ever committed to film due to the fact of the tactical awareness of it. I'm sure you've covered the Marine saying how amazing of a magazine change Val Kilmer's character did.
Oh.
If you haven't seen that, there is plenty of stuff out there where Val Kilmer will talk about that, where Marine saw this in the theater and he did it as tactically proficient as you possibly could. Wow. The fact that Michael Mann uses nothing but production audio. So that is all the blanks being fired. That's not added in. That is, he was saying that he could not recreate the sound of bullets echoing in a canyon of the skyscrapers like he could if he did it real. So all of the audio you hear in that scene is all on location, which I can only imagine what that was like for people living in LA to hear that during that set. But I mean, that scene is just, I think that's why Heat is the movie it is. The robbery scenes are unbelievable. They're spectacular. People have been trying to recreate those for forever in their films. No one has come close. We watched that first one where they knock over the truck and you think, this is the best it's going to get. And then it's like, no, hold my beer. Wait till we get to the bank robbery. And it's gorgeous. It's amazing. As a military person and former military policeman, the tactical awareness of the group doing it is unbelievable. The way they move, fire and move, it's covering fire and move. It's just so well done. It's seeing it in the theater. It really is that theatrical experience that you need to see. It's great at home, and you can have a home theater that's good. But I'm telling you right now, if you didn't see it in the theater, you just really don't know how much better of a movie, or of a scene, I should say, that is when you get to see it live. And I wonder how much of that scene helped movies like even Saving Private Ryan when it did the landing of D-Day. I wonder how much that helped to inform, oh, we really can stretch the bounds of this, because we're fans of 80s action. It's a lot of explosions and ridiculousness. This is completely anti-80s. This is how action, a realistic action scene, should be filmed. In every single bank robbery movie since this has always tried to have its own Heat scene. Watch them all, whether it's Den of Thieves, whether it's The Town, they all have a moment where there's a shootout, and they're good, but none of them compare to this moment. If there's a scene he goes down for, and like if Michael Mann, when he lays down and closes his eye for last time, he can be like, I shot that scene of Heat in the middle of downtown LA where people are firing blanks, and it looks unbelievably real. So hats off to Mr. Mann. That is an amazing achievement in cinema for what he did with the scene.